Righty then. Hello, folks. We are back. Episode 5, I believe it is. We are on number 5. Five. $5, $5, $5 foot longs by next door with Vince. Sorry, I always got to do a catchy
I
thing.
thought you were going to go with an I Got 5 on it.
Oh, that too. But Jordan Peele has tainted that song with that very creepy, eerie version of it from the movie Us, which was genius, by the way. I'm not knocking that. That was incredible. But no, we have to do the $5 footlong because they actually had that promotion. So go to your local Subway and go ahead and take advantage of that because $5 can stretch you and go a long way these days. But we're not selling Subways. We're not talking about sandwiches. We're talking about me and Vince. But starting with me, I am your courageous, strong, pro-black host, LAREN Maxstar Moore.
And I am Vince Eustace, and the local Subway near me has shut down, so I have to go much further to get the $5 footlong.
It's such a damn shame. Everything is shut down. You can't even get sandwiches these days. Damn pandemic.
But it's shut down permanently. It's like even like when the pandemic is like done, it's closed. It's gone. It's done.
Well, fuck that Subway. Anyway, fuck that Subway anyway. You guys, you know what it is. You have made it to the 5th episode of Popcorn
and Booze.
Gurgle, 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 gurgle. That's the sound of drinking booze. That's the sound of drinking booze. But I'm not really drinking booze. I'm pantomiming it, but making noise. So I'm not really pantomiming. Yay! I'm special, aren't I? Okay, kids. Yes, Popcorn and Booze, the show about pop culture, film, music, wrestling, occasional visits from Oscar award-winning comedians who like to talk about things and have affairs with married men. Yes, we do it all. We do it all. We do it all. So with that being said, Vince, let's get right into it, my friend.
Let's
what
get
do we
into
got?
it. Well, first, I'm sure you've noticed at this point, hopefully this is a temporary thing, but we are kind of going low budget, no intro.
We had to scale back a little bit,
no
folks.
music cues. Just had trouble exporting stuff, so we're going to have to go with raw footage. So hopefully just the power of our combined charisma is able to carry the show. That being said, going into the pop culture segment, some big news happening this week in terms of getting everyone talking. Nick Cannon, Mr. Actor, rapper, producer,
Mr. Drumline himself.
He was on, I think it was his own podcast with Professor Griff, formerly of Public Enemy.
From where?
Public Enemy.
I was just testing your hip-hop head knowledge there, my good co-host friend there.
No, I remember he got kicked out of the group for being anti-Semitic, which is interesting because then Nick Cannon had him on the show and they were talking about white people and Jewish people, Europeans, and Nick Cannon said some things that were construed as anti-Semitic as well. And he has since been basically fired from Viacom. And Viacom is, I don't have to tell you, huge. They own everything. So in terms of everything that Nick Cannon was working on with Viacom, including his very popular Wild 'N Out show, he is no longer affiliated with Viacom. He has since apologized. He is actually talking to a rabbi to sort of see like where he went wrong and to try and learn from this experience.
That's funny to me. I'm sorry.
No, so this I've noticed, and I don't want to like put this all on you as a black person, but I've noticed that there's been kind of a divide. Because
wait, Vince, I'm black. See, I've been looking at this side of my palms my whole life. It makes sense. Okay, gotcha. Here we go. It all makes sense now.
So I've noticed that this isn't the first time that a prominent black celebrity has been Semitic, or allegedly anti-Semitic within the past week or two. Deshaun Jackson said some stuff. Ice Cube has said some things, and I don't know. I want to know your take on it, and you don't have to like obviously like paint yourself into a corner or like I don't want you to get us canceled. But I don't know your take on this whole Nick Cannon situation.
first of all, let's break down what the term anti-Semitic even means. I've heard the term over the years, obviously since I was a kid. You know, I kind of knew what it meant, but I had to really do some research. And basically, for the people who don't know what that means, it's when you basically single out a community or a culture or a race or religion, preferably the Jewish community, is what it kind of equates to that community specifically. So I'll keep this as short as simple as I can. I'm not a huge fan of Nick, but I think Nick, much like a Will Smith, much like a Childish Gambino, Donald Glover, he's a jack of all trades. Now, granted, he doesn't do it all that well, but he is a rapper.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, Will Smith and Donald Glover are like really good at those things. Nick Cannon.
But in his defense, I've listened to a lot of Nick Cannon songs. Most of them are commercial. It's not like he's known for dropping bars, but he isn't. I think they give him way too much shit. He is really, really not that bad. He is just incredibly mediocre, and he just doesn't have it. He just doesn't quite get it. Is what it is. I've heard worse rappers. My God, and that's if you've heard worse than Nick Cannon, that's you've heard the worst of the worst. And I could sit here as a rap artist and as a rapper and say I've heard worse rappers than Nick Cannon. Hell, Magoo from Timbaland and Magoo was terrible. If you listen to Timbaland, old Timbaland Magoo was trash. I'm sorry, he really was. Nick he's just not that good. He doesn't quite get it. But the point is he is a jack of all trades. You know, he raps, he acts, he's an entrepreneur, he's a mogul, he's a businessman. So I look up to him in that aspect. You know, he's only a couple years older than me. He's not that much older than us. I think he's in his early 40s. No, he's 39. He's 39, I believe. Nick Cannon, and I'm gonna preface this by saying I need to be careful how I say this.
Oh, this is never good. This is never good.
I know.
That's how he got in trouble.
It's when you started off like that, you already know the heat is coming.
Keep in mind, I can't edit this. I can't edit this out. This is all raw footage. So whatever you say is going on.
I know, it's horrible. Such a sad society we live in now. You can't really. You know, I got to play the gray area here. I do. He said some very factual things. He said some very, you know, according to the people that were offended by it, he said some offensive things, some anti-Semitic things. It basically goes like this. On his part, I understand what he was trying to do. He's basically trying to call out pretty much the entire white culture because the Jewish community is predominantly white. I mean, there's a couple black Jews. The only one I know of is like Sammy Davis Jr.
What about Lenny Kravitz?
Boing, boing, boing. Yeah, man. Yeah. That's my Sammy Davis Jr. impression. Mr. Bojangles. Mr. Bojangles. Okay, I'm done. Anyway, so I get what he was doing. He was trying to generalize the white community, but he wasn't generalizing. He was specifically calling out certain groups. And one of the groups he called out, when he started, I've watched the clip, when he started that sentence or started that portion of his rant, he started with the Jewish community. And that here's the thing. He's right about one thing, and it's a fact historically, and the Jewish community pretty much runs the entertainment industry, the same industry that Nick Cannon is in. So, especially with things that have happened with the Holocaust, you know, World War, II and all that. If you're aware of these sensitive subjects with this community or with this group, it's best not to just even say anything about them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I understand what he was trying to do, but this is it's a touchy subject, and I don't really want to. I don't make comparisons to the Jewish struggle and the black struggle. It's two different struggles, in my opinion. Or cultural oppressions, or whatever happened in the past. But it's the same type of sensitivity to where you have to be very careful what you say, and I don't think I don't think that specific that specific group at that time needed to be called out. And this goes back to what I was saying to you. I've said it to you. I've said it on the show. I've been saying it for months now. You've heard me say it so many times. I said it on my friend Davion's IG live show. Check him out, by the way, Wednesday Live Vibes. He does it every month. Just giving him a shout out because he gave us a shout out. Black people, we need to pick and choose our battles. We need to know when it's time to really, really voice our opinion, and sometimes it's time and there's a time to also step back and say, listen, it's not just about me. And I think it was Kevin Hart that said, again, my friend Davion, he brought this up. I think it was Kevin Hart that said, when you're in this type of industry or you have that much power, you usually have people that are up under you or that work with you. It's not just about you anymore. Nick Cannon has probably, at this point, thousands of employees and performers under his belt. And in that moment, I don't think he was thinking about any of them, black or white. You know, he should have just been very meticulous about what he said. He should have pinpointed things a little bit more. He should have generalized a little bit more. Yes, everything he says about white supremacy and white nationalism is right. They are the most oppressive, tyrannical bunch of on the planet. And I know he wanted to lump the Jewish community in there because they're white. Unfortunately, the powers that be that are part of the Jewish community took offense to that. And he has now made things very, very hard for himself when he kind of should have just been careful and very precautious about what he said. Because now Wildin' Out is they don't know what's, and you know, it's funny, after he did the rant and made the quote unquote anti-Semitic views or verbiage or, you know, vocalized what he said, immediately he went on the defense and was basically like, you guys are a bunch of bullies and I want the rights to my show, yada, yada, yada. And he was like, I'm not going to be bullied. But then the backlash, he got dragged on the internet. He lost, Viacom fired him. So then he had to issue an apology. Now, I don't know how sincere his apology is. I think it is. I think he's realizing maybe that wasn't a time and place to say any of that. Maybe I should have picked and choose my battles. So he put out a very lengthy apology. By the way, and I made this joke on my friend's show, it just so happens Viacom also owns BET. So even the black folks can't save him.
Yeah. Well, Diddy's trying to get him at Revolt. Like, Diddy's like, hey, come on over. I think you guys talked about that. Yeah, you were like,
but ain't nobody try to go to no fucking Revolt. Nobody to the stature of a Nick Cannon. Me and you, I would love for popcorn and booze to be on Revolt. That's that dream come true. Nick Cannon, come on. He's kind of like, you know, Nick Cannon's like, nigga, please, I'm Nick Cannon. What the fuck what is Revolt gonna do for me? I was on MTV and under the belt of Viacom. Like Revolt.
He ran Nickelodeon. He was like the president of Nickelodeon.
Since he was a teenager, like since he was a young adult and teenager down there. So he started that whole Viacom explosion, you know, but they own everything. So it's not like he can even, the black folks can't even save him. So it's just, you got to pick and choose your battles, you guys, especially if you're a person of color with power, that like Nick Cannon has, and you have people, you have to be considerate of others as well. I think it's admirable that he was speaking from the point of a black man that is sick of the oppressive nature of the things that we go through. I'm sick of it too. But sometimes you gotta kind of take a step back and be like, let me think about this before I make this stand. I have to make a logical stance, is my point. Make a stance, speak up, but do it intelligently and logically. If not, you're just gonna offend people. And now, there you go. He's out of a job, and a bunch of people are getting fired along with him because that's the world. So that's really all I got to say about that. You know, at least he apologized. He acknowledged it, you know. So I don't know what his future holds. But I tell you what, it better not be doing Drumline 2. You're too old for that shit, Nick. You're 40. Nobody wants to see a 40-year-old marching band drummer.
What if he was like what if he played like the Orlando Jones like type of character where he came in as like sort of,
well, first of all, you said Orlando Jones, so on to the next segment. You just anything with Orlando Jones. No,
I almost said Orlando Jordan, which would have, that's a different That's a different person altogether.
Hey, no disrespect to Orlando Jones. He had a very big career back in the late '90s, early 2000s, but where the hell has he been? So yeah.
Nick Cannon was not the only person sort of speaking out of turn on radio or podcast. Roger Stone, if you're not familiar with him, but I'm pretty sure if you're listening, you probably do know who he is. He is the Trump ally advisor who was sentenced to 40 months in prison for lying to Congress, I think witness tampering, obstruction, a bunch of different things. And then he got his sentence commuted recently by Donald Trump. And that's been a lot of cause of contention. So Roger Stone was on the Mo Kelly radio show, and Mo Kelly, who was a black man, was holding his feet to the fire, saying like, don't you think that like you being who you are and being close with the president kind of got you off like near the end, like got your sentence commuted? And Roger Stone was sort of debating him about that, and it got a little heated, and Mo Kelly was like, no, like it's not just like you didn't just win a lottery and like it randomly used. Like the fact that like you knew him and you're friends with him helped you. Like how can you not see that? And then there was like a short pause, and you hear Roger Stone mumble something, and I put my earphones on and replayed it, turned it up, and it I thought it was fairly clear what he said. He said, I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, oh, I don't really feel like arguing with this Negro. And Mo Kelly was like, I'm sorry, what was that? What did you say?
Yikes.
And there was silence on the other end for a while, and he was like, what did you, like, you don't want to argue with who? Like, what did you say I was? And then finally, I think after 40 seconds, he came back on. Mo Kelly addressed it, like, what did you call me? And he's like, no, I didn't say that. Like, you're crazy for thinking that. You're out of your mind. I'm not a racist. Look at all these things I've done in the past. I've stood for affirmative action. I've been blah, 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 all this. Like, I'm not. And then since then, he has gone on record saying that he has, that it was the sound engineer that like tampered with it. Like he like it wasn't working out. It's like a smear campaign between the sound engineer and the host Mo Kelly. Something I want to bring up before I kick it to you, and I posted this on Facebook. Roger Stone is a renowned liar. Like the reason why he went to jail was because he lied to Congress. Yeah. He has also, his political MO has been admit nothing, deny everything, and counterattack. That's been his MO. Like he's also a self-proclaimed dirty trickster. He has sort of bragged about how he's like sort of twisted things and manipulated things for political gain. So this whole thing falls in line with, all right, he admitted nothing, he denied everything, and then he went on the counterattack like, oh no, you guys are trying to trip me up. You guys are trying to make me look bad when I'm not a bad guy. And this is the guy who also was like cool with the Proud Boys for a second. So I don't buy it for a second. Plus you hear the audio and I think it's clear. But I want to know your thoughts on the whole situation. And then if you have time to slip it in also, I guess we'll get, if we have time, I'll say the other thing I was going to say, but your thoughts on this.
Yeah. Wow. That's an interesting moniker or a ideology to go by. Admit nothing, deny everything, and attack. Wow. Those are the things pedophiles and rapists are made of right there. Those are the things that have been getting pedophiles and rapists off and sexual misconducted abusers and people that are of those nature. Those are the very phrases that have made it have made it clear to these type of people that it's okay to do these things. That's what that reminds me of. When I hear that, I'm just like, wow, yeah. And that's why pedophiles and rapists are walking around this world, because that's an ideology for them. That's their defense. Listen, we've briefly spoke about this. I don't know much about the guy from what other than what I've read and other than what you told me. But yeah, that word, it was a word that was said during a very, very oppressive time for African Americans, and I think that's why it's deemed kind of racial or a slur or a derogatory term, because originally I guess it wasn't made for that. It was actually just a word like to just describe African Americans, describe black people. The word Negro was like the word black, but the connotation, the way it was said, the time it was a very popular term. We're just very, it was like still Jim Crow. It was like during the Jim Crow time and segregation, and it was just used heavily. So now it's dated and we've moved on. Like using the word Negro now is like using the word Oriental towards Asian people. You don't say that. You just don't say it. It's like using the word colored. Granted, even the word Oriental wasn't necessarily created for the sake of being racist or racial or a slur. It's morphed into that because it was said during racial times for Asians, for blacks, for whoever. So unacceptable. In a nutshell, unacceptable. You don't say that. And the way he said it, and I have to listen to the audio now. The way he said it, it was almost like he really wanted to say the N-word, but knew the other N-word. By the way, the real bad one with the ER at the end of it. It sounds like that's what he really wanted to say, and then thought about it and was like, ugh, that might be too far. So I'm gonna say something that is kind of racial, but not as much, just so I can get that jab in. He sounds like a piece of shit. The way you're describing him, he sounds like a fucking, he's a Trump supporter. That's number one reason. Obviously, he's obviously a very prejudiced, ignorant person. He's probably, you might know more than me, he's probably misogynistic as fuck as well. He's probably just got these very icky, old school, white, conservative, America, the patriotic, he's probably got that very old school, shitty, ignorant, prejudiced way about him. And for him to say that, cancel Roger Stone, cancel.
Can't cancel if I haven't subscribed to him already.
Hey!
The book.
And don't start now.
Someone made a good point also, like, because there has been a debate about whether that word is a slur or not. And I think you sort of articulated it pretty well, that it's like
touched on it.
It's kind of like in a gray area. It's more of an outdated term than a slur, but the way he said it, like someone brought up, like he could have said African American, and even if the way he said it, it's like, oh, I don't want to argue with this African American. Like African American is not an offensive term, but how you say it, or the fact that you're only seeing him as that and not like a radio host, or like if he was like, I don't want to argue with this guy. If he just said like this guy context, or this man or something.
Yeah, the context is basically him saying, I don't want to argue with this person who's beneath me. That's basically how that sounds. Yeah,
exactly. And I've seen a lot of people sort of stand up. Not a lot of people stand up for Roger Stone, but I've seen some people be like, "Oh, well, I didn't know that was a slur because there's a United Negro College Fund. Martin Luther King used to say it all the time. Malcolm X used to say it all the time. But again, to your point, that was in the '60s. Think about when those terms were.
Yeah, think about when those terms were said. It was oppressive times, so they thought it was the norm to say that. This is 2020. That's unacceptable. We're not,
if he was a decent person, he would apologize. Even if he wanted to hold on to the lie that he didn't say it, he could at least be like I'm sorry that's. I mean, he'd still get ragged for being like, that's not a real apology, but he's just not going to acknowledge it. He's not going to apologize. He's going to double down. He's going to go to his last dying day just saying that he never said that.
Yeah, and much like what I said about how black folks need to pick and choose their battles, that's not the same. Some white people just need to shut the fuck up all the way, period.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You guys, white folks, you don't, I'm not generalizing, but the white supremacy, the bad white folks who I'm talking to, you don't get to pick and choose no battles. You don't get to say shit, period, ever. There's no picking and choosing with you guys. You need to watch your mouth at all times. All times. And the sooner white people get to understand that, the better. Especially white people like him. It's just unacceptable. And cancel Cancel.
Yeah.
Get them. And like you said, you listen, to be canceled, you got to be subscribed to, and ain't nobody even was fucking with him in the first place. You know, it's like, what's the term? How could you fall off if you were never on?
Yeah.
That's a term used in hip hop. Like when they talk about rappers who are fall offs. Motherfucker, you were never on. So like, how could you fall off? You were never a thing. So yeah, cancel. Bye.
Cancel.
Don't need him. Don't need him.
We're optimistic about Nick Cannon, but we are down on Roger Stone.
Oh no, he could. Yeah, at least Nick is apologizing. What the fuck has he done? Has he tried any real way to rectify this? Has he tried?
No, not at all. No.
Okay,
He's just denied. Again, deny, admit nothing,
exactly.
Counterattack. That's
exactly.
it. He's a liar.
And like I said, those are the things pedophiles and rapists are made of. Those are their tactics. They use those same tactics. So I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying he falls under that category of not owning up to your shit. So
yeah. All right. Moving on to hip hop. It all started in the park. Hip hop. It all started in the park. Shout out. You know I got to do it. Shout out to the men who made me the man I am, even though it was like 10, 15 years before I was born. It doesn't matter. I grew to be the hip hop head that I am and the rapper that I am because of two men. DJ Hollywood. And who else, Vince? Your hip hop head, you know who. Kool Herc.
DJ Hollywood and Kool Herc. If it wasn't for those two men, I would not be in the position as I am as a rapper and a hip hop head. So shout out to those guys for starting it back in the Bronx, in the park. You know, Sedgwick. It was a turntable, 2 turntables and a mic, and that's all they needed. Now we got mumble rappers, so shows you how much has changed. But let's get into it, yeah.
All right, so the big news in hip-hop this week, and this isn't, I mean, we like to joke around about stuff, but I don't think there's really much joking around we can do about this, which is fine. But Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez were in the news. They were apparently partying at Kylie Jenner's. They were on her live stream, and then they were, I guess, leaving, and they were in the same car, I think with some other people. We don't really know what happened. What we do know is that the police were called for a disturbance. Tory Lanez was arrested for gun possession. And originally TMZ, which is weird, they normally get stuff right, but they got this wrong at first. They said, I think they were saying that she got arrested or she stepped on some glass and hurt herself.
Yeah, she was like bleeding from the foot. And they were like, what the fuck is wrong with her?
And they're like, oh, she stepped on some glass. It turns out she did not step on glass. She also was not arrested. She was shot in the foot multiple times, and she was taken to a hospital to get the bullets removed. Now she's fine. She's okay. Physically, she's
Harlem Night style, baby.
she's physically fine. Oh my God. Physically fine, but she hasn't said much about the situation, but she has said that she doesn't really appreciate the jokes that are going on. So a lot of memes and stuff going on. She said this is something that's like traumatically affected. I mean, she's got shot. I've never been shot, so I can't tell you what it's like. So I can only assume that being shot sucks. And it's alleged that Tory Lanez was the shooter. Only because, obviously, Tory's not saying anything. Megan's not saying anything. No one really who was in the car is saying much, but they're hinting at stuff on social media. And Megan's producer has actually threatened Tory Lanez on Twitter and then deleted the tweets. So it makes me think that he kind of knows, since he knows Megan Thee Stallion, he is aware of maybe more details than we do. And then also, before I kick it to you and get your opinion on stuff, I just came across this. Tory Lanez's old ex-girlfriend, she's not old, but I meant ex-girlfriend, went public on Instagram. I'm not sure when this happened, but she kind of called him out for being like very manipulative, abusive. She feared for her life, had like screenshots of just him trying to like sort of get back into her life and her being like, stay away. And she's like, I didn't want to like call him out on this, but like, I'm so scared of him. Like, I don't know what else to do. And it kind of got brushed aside. I never heard about it until now. So, but now hearing her say that, and the theories going along with what Tory may or may not have done to Megan, like some dots are starting to be possibly connected. So I want to know your thoughts on this whole weird thing.
I mean, obviously, I'm not a detective. I wasn't there, but to me, it sounds like chitty chitty bang bang. Tory Lanez shooting at people. I don't know. At least the evidence points to that. Listen, I don't know what's wrong with if that is true. If that's what he did, and I don't see, they would have to show me some very, very, very clear-cut evidence that he had nothing to do with that. I think it was him, her, and one other girl in the car or something like that. And from the stories I've heard, there was an argument, like you said. It was pretty late in the middle of the night. I'm pretty sure booze, no popcorn, but I'm pretty sure booze and some type of drug of some sort, Molly, lean, who knows, was involved. And I think things just got really ratchet and ghetto and heated. And listen, and I can say this as a black man because I've lived this, I've been around this, and I've lived this. You could take the nigga out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the nigga. I don't care what you say, bro. He probably just had one of them hood moments and was like, bitch, take that. I don't think he was trying to kill her or even shoot her. I think he was probably trying to intimidate her and just accidentally caught her. Or the bullet ricocheted. Whatever the case is, I saw the footage. She's like standing in the middle of the street. She's half-ass naked. I guess they were at some kind of pool party or something.
Yeah. So I think she was like in her swimsuit.
So I was like, why is she naked? But it was just a really skimpy, because that's what Meg Thee Stallion's all about. Everything with this girl, I'm not a fan. I'm not going to disrespect her because I don't know her, but her image sucks to me. I don't care. It's like Lizzo. It's like the Kardashians. It's like Iggy Azalea. Anybody that has been made famous for popping their booty every 5 minutes or showing their ass, and her songs are she's an okay rapper. I don't see the appeal. I don't. Much like Lizzo, not a fan. I don't see the appeal. I'm not saying these girls don't have some form of talent, but that to me doesn't embody talent. I think it's their antics that make them, just like the Kardashians. It's their antics. Just like Iggy Azalea. Nobody cares about her rapping too much, but she looks good with her ass out. And it's just every 5 minutes, every time I turn something on with Meg Thee Stallion on, she's hunched over with her ass in there. Same thing with Lizzo. I'm sorry. That to me, that's not talent. That's just my opinion. Now, I love to see black women in places, put in positions of success. I love that. But again, it's got to be for a reason that involves actual talent and hard work. And I don't see that from any of those aforementioned names. That I don't see it. I think it's just image. Sex sells, and it's always sold. It's always sold because they're not the only ones. And I'm not just picking on Meg Thee Stallion. Listen, it's been like this, even though. And we'll get into this, actually. We're going to talk about female rappers of the past. But even female rappers in the past, they used sex as a way to, or sex appeal or eye candy as a way to kind of get famous. Either on their own accord or, let's be honest, or some very powerful, rich men who were like, hey, you want to make a lot of money? Pull your titties out. Like, those are the type of things that happen in the industry. I get it. As far as the situation goes, I mean, why was there a situation involving anything where anybody even got shot? What the fuck were they doing? And again, if this is true, and it seems like it is, again, I wasn't there. Tory Lanez's career needs to be over. Cancel. He needs to be canceled too, because that's just stupid. I don't understand why that's necessary to even pull out a gun and do. I don't care what the reason was for. I don't care if he was angry, high, drunk, was trying to prove a point. The fact that you're pulling out pistols and firing them at anybody for any reason, even if it was just an intimidation tactic, you're an idiot. I've never been a fan of his anyway. Like him and Meg Thee Stallion need to go to an island. Get the fuck out of here, both of them, all of them, and take Lizzo and Iggy Azalea and the Kardashians with them. I don't, it's just, it's a bunch of media just frenzied silliness, and it's also, you know, rich, famous black folks making other black folks look bad. They already have a perception about us, and when we get ourselves in a situation like this, it doesn't help that perception. So get it together. Again, if he really is behind all this, then yeah, he's another one that needs to be on the canceled list, because that's some young boy stupid shit, and he needs to get the fuck on. And I don't like his music anyway.
Yeah,
Tory
sadly, I don't
Lanez
think he's going to
should
get
stay in his
canceled.
lane.
I don't think he's going to get canceled. Just like he might have to like play it cool for a second, but like he, like, not to say that people don't deserve second chances, but you look at like Chris Brown, like he was canceled and then he came back and he's like stronger than ever. And I can see the same thing happening with Tory Lanez.
This might help.
Tekashi,
This might get him some record sales. But sadly,
Tekashi 6ix9ine, everyone was canceling him, and then as soon as he got out of jail, he had a #1 hit. Nicki helped, but he had a #1 song. So I think, I don't know. I would say just like hope. I know you're not a fan of hers, and I can't say that like I listen to her, but like, I don't like dislike her. But like, hopefully she bounces back from this, and whatever she's going through, like mentally, she'll be good.
No, I understand. No, totally. Just because I'm not a fan of her music, like I said, no disrespect to her personally. I don't know her personally. It's her image that I'm slamming. But that, you know, because I'm saying all that, nobody deserves to get shot. So if he did shoot her, he needs to go to jail. That's it. There's no talking. He needs to go somewhere, because that's stupid and reckless. And I'm sick of black folks like that making other black folks look bad. You know, that's unnecessary shit, and he needs to go on somewhere. So that's my opinion on that.
All right. So you mentioned a few women rappers that you really aren't really a fan of, but we are going to segue and springboard into our next portion of the hip hop segment, talking about women rappers that you are a fan of and that I also like as well.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about just like the women rappers of the past, because hip hop, I'm sure you can, it is a male dominated sport, for lack of a better term. And it is probably very tough for women to pick up any traction. And a lot of times they do have to sort of be sexy or be twerking in order to sort of gain some traction. So just wanted to chop it up, go back and forth, and let's talk about the women rappers that we enjoy.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's you know, those names I mentioned, not a fan of, but they're not the only ones. I'm not generalizing all women rappers and saying, well, because I don't like Meg Thee Stallion or Lizzo or Iggy Azalea, it means that all women rappers are trash. That is absolutely a ridiculous notion for anybody to think that. That's not true at all. And that's basically, clearly, that's not what I'm saying. I just don't think they're a good representation for female rappers at times. With that being said, listen, much like yourself, we've talked about this 150,000 times, and we're going to talk about it 150,000 more times in the future, as long as we're doing the show. We're both raised and come from and are bred from the golden era of hip hop, which is, you know, some of the 80s, because we were too young in the 80s, or weren't born yet, or just being born. So 90s as kids was more of our thing, and you know, we grew up on the Biggies, the Pacs, the Redmans, the Eminems, you know. But we also, and those are a bunch of male rappers, I mean, but we also grew up on the MC Lights, and we also grew up on the Foxy Browns and the Little Kims and the Lauryn Hills, and the Queen Latifah before she became the big. You know, a lot of people just know her as the actress. A lot of people forget the Queen used to spit, and probably still can. You know, and a lot of those female rappers paved the way for me as well, because they were just rappers before anything. Now, of course, when they came in, they're like, okay, female rappers, da, da, da. But if you notice, most of those female rappers back then, they weren't showing skin. They weren't popping their booties. Them females were rough and rugged. They wore baggy clothes like the guys. or or were just covered up. They were rough, dude, and they because they wanted to come in, these black women, because yeah, I mean most, I don't, God, I like white female rappers. I don't recall that wasn't a thing back then. You didn't.
No.
I think that wasn't literally. I think the first female white rapper I ever saw wasn't until like the 2000s, damn near, maybe the late 90s.
Yeah, I
mean,
remember the first white woman rapper I saw was Lady Sovereign from
I was just
England.
about to say, yeah, she had that. If you don't like me, fuck you. If you don't like me, fuck you.
And apparently she was big in England and then couldn't quite make the transition. Yeah, she couldn't quite cross over in the States. But that was like literally the first time I ever saw
I was
a
gonna
white
say,
girl rap.
And I probably would have to say the same thing. If not, I think fucking Creation was like the first was like the first female white rapper. God, my God, she was trash. Her and that damn V Nasty. And she's another one. I don't want to get into it, but she was another one that was white and very avid with using the N word and tried to justify it. She was what a piece of shit. I could not stand those girls. But I can't really think of anything but Lady Severon and Creation. So back to, so it was these black females that came in and they were like, yo, we're going to show you we could rap. We're going to show you that it isn't about women coming up in here and trying to look cute. We're not trying to be like the men, but we're trying to show you that we could tear a hole in a microphone just like you motherfuckers can. And they did. And then gradually, and I'm going to say it was probably one of two reasons or both reasons. It's because records need to be sold and videos need to be made. So you probably had a lot of men with power of all, races and colors saying to these women, look, we got to make you appealing. We can't have you looking like MC Lyte. We can't have you looking like Queen Latifah did in the early 90s and late 80s. We can't even have you looking like Lauryn Hill. Like Lauryn Hill was probably one of the few rappers in the late 90s, heading into the 2000s, that was still about that I'm a woman, respect me, shit, and won multiple Grammys and went platinum with the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which is one of the greatest, I could say, definitely one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time. Top 10, hands down, maybe top 5. I remember having that album when I was a kid. Amazing album. I don't know if you are a fan of Lauryn Hill or if you heard that album.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
The Miseducation Lauryn Hill is an absolute classic. They want to talk about Get Rich or Die Trying as a classic. They want to talk about Reasonable Doubt by Jay-Z. The Miseducation Lauryn Hill is a classic. That's a classic. And it was so eclectic and it was so topical. It just had so many different styles. It was definitely the rapping, but she sang, she did doo-wop, she did R&B, she did neo-soul. It was just an amazing album, and she was one of the few MCs that actually kept her, not only the pro-black stance that she had, but also was like, I'm a woman, and I'm not taking my clothes off for nobody. I ain't shaking my ass. But then there were some rappers around that time. Like I said, rap started for females, started to manifest into, we need you to be more sexy. We need you to show more skin. So in stepped rappers like Lil' Kim, who, it's documented, Biggie himself, it's been said in interviews, and it was also in the Biggie biopic. There's a scene in that, and people have confirmed this account, that Biggie did tell Lil' Kim, it was kind of his idea. He was like, look, I appreciate, because she just wanted to be a spitter. She wanted to get lyrical and be street. And he was like, yo, I appreciate that. That's dope. But he was like, men don't want to hear a woman rapping about toting pistols and knocking niggas out. So he basically told her, look, you gotta be sexy. And I get why he was saying it, but that's what ended up happening. And then you had Foxy Brown, and you had a lot of sex appeal rappers that were good, but showed some skin. And then that even manifested even to more of the current rappers we have today, to where they are showing everything damn near and rapping. So,
and I think there's room for that, like in hip hop in general. I think you and I are both on the same page in terms of like rap we like to listen to. Like we like more the lyrical people, so we will sort of side more with like an MC Lyte or a Rhapsody or a Lauryn Hill as opposed to like Megan Thee Stallion or Iggy Azalea. But like I can't sit here and me personally be like, I think it's I think it's fine that happens. And it's not just like the women, like you said, like Little Kim, like Salt and Pepper. Salt and Pepper was like being like sexy in a lot of their videos, but also the guys like LL Cool J was taking off his shirt and like being a sex symbol. Tupac was doing the same. Even though he wasn't taking any clothes off, Method Man was like, if you ask any like woman nowadays about Method Man, they melt. Big Daddy Kane was also sort of like a sex symbol too. And I know he posed in like Playgirl. So I know that's just like across the board, sex sells. And I think the fact that men in hip hop are normally kind of talking about like all the bad bitches they're hitting and stuff like that. The women are like, all right, well, we're the bad bitches. Like we're gonna do like almost the flip side of that. Like if you're putting us in your videos to sort of be background, we're moving up to the front of the video and taking center stage. So I'm with you. Like I don't necessarily will have that in heavy rotation, but like I think I'm okay.
No, you're right. There's a market for everything. There's a market. There's a market for the Meg Thee Stallions. There's a market for the Lauryn Hills. There's a market for everything. Sadly, when it comes to commercialism and mainstream, the main market is eye candy, and that's still to this day. And sadly, and I'm not saying all these women are running around saying, "I want to take my clothes off." I don't know Meg Thee Stallion. I don't know them. I don't know them personally. It seems like they thrive on it, but maybe so. They might be the type of women that are like, I don't want to take my clothes off, but I'm kind of being forced to because if not, I won't get any record sales or I won't get this video airplay. I won't this, that, and the third. Because I'm sure there are a lot of women, which is why I'm not generalizing. I'm sure there are a lot of women, female rappers that are like, I just want to rap. Fuck all that. I'm not taking off my clothes. I ain't doing none of that. But that shit don't sell. And like I said, there's a market for everything. And I think it's sad actually. Because I would like to see more rappers like you mentioned, like Rhapsody, and I don't know too many of the like real lyrical female rappers that kind of are conservative as far as the way they hold themselves, not a political standpoint, but conservative from how they dress and stuff standpoint. But it just that ain't selling no units, and it ain't getting the streams, and it ain't getting the downloads, and it ain't getting the YouTube hits. Being just a woman that raps. You have to do that. And these girls that we named and people like Meg Thee Stallion are taking full advantage of that. And, if they're comfortable with that, which they got to be because they do it, the Lizzos and all the girls we named, they're doing it. So they must be comfortable with it. Shout out to them.
It is sort of empowering too. Because and I've talked to my wife about this, and it's from a woman's standpoint. Like there's a difference between seeing like women kind of like forced to do it and then a woman like taking charge of and there's like sort of like confidence and empowerment to that I'm not sure I'll ever fully it won't resonate with me or you like it resonates with like other women. So
yeah, absolutely. And we're speaking from a male perspective, and our male perspective is going to be differentiate from a female's perspective. But one thing that males and females can agree on when it comes to the subject that is, again, there's a market for everything. And that's what this all kind of revolves around. Who are we trying to appeal to? What audience are we trying to get? And, the audiences that a lot of these newer female rappers attract are young teenage girls that are, or the Instagram culture. That's what they're marketing them to. So marketing, them to that demographic. And listen, they're making money, man. The Cardi B's, we forgot about Cardi B. She's another one.
Oh yeah, she's
not
making
a
a lot
fan,
of money.
Not a fan, but boy, she will flaunt them titties and that ass in a minute. She does not care. I've been to her Instagram many a times and have blacked out and woke up with my pants undone in the bathroom and don't know how I got there. So yeah, that's what they're comfortable with, and there's nothing. I don't care for it personally, but again, there's a market for it, and if they're comfortable with it, I can't judge them. That's entirely their decision, not mine. So yeah, man. But there's some great female MCs, man. I think those female MCs that's got them bars need to shine more. So for any of you female rappers that watch this episode and want to bust some bars and be a guest on the show one day, eventually, once we get this in order somehow, hit us up. DM me or DM Vince. Just be respectful with your DMs with him because he's married.
Yeah,
Me,
maybe just DM
me,
LAREN, maybe.
yeah, listen, me, I'm single. You can say whatever nasty little naughty thing you want to. But him, be
No,
careful.
you
He's
got
a
to
married
behave
man.
yourself in the DMs, LAREN. If a female rapper comes in talking about, hey, like, don't take your clothes off. Like, be respectable, spit bars. And then they're like, hey, I'm a lyrical woman. You're like, oh, show me their titties. It's like, oh, God damn it, LAREN. Not going to get anyone on the show.
I would never. I would never. Unless she suggested that herself. Other than that, hey, if you want to come in my DM and show some titties, then that's your business. I will never encourage it, but I won't be against it. So
Maybe it's best you just leave. Maybe just leave a public comment, and that's going to be better for everyone.
Vince is like, on the other hand, the DM sliding. Don't do that. That's not a good idea. We don't need the Me Too movement coming after us, so we have to behave ourselves. I agree. So yeah, man, that's that segment, man. So what are we up to?
Moving on to the wrasslin. One of the good things about us being sort of technologically crippled,
technically not so sound, yeah.
Yeah, is that we don't have to play the 1, 2, 3 Kids song, and I don't have to hear about a certain so and a certain other so video recording certain things.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It's not. It's great. It's the silver lining. I think this is God's work.
No.
Yeah.
What this is the work of a hater. I say this all the time. Yes, haters. You're a hater.
I've been trying
obviously,
so hard to edit these episodes.
Obviously, God's a hater because he made this happen.
God is not a hater. God is love.
Nothing.
God is light.
All I'm saying is, let's talk about the sex tape. All right.
No.
One night in China, baby. One night in China.
Moving past it forever.
Come on. Let's have some popcorn, drink some booze, and watch One Night in China, baby.
I just feel like out of all the sex tapes out there, you've hitched your wagon to like the weirdest one.
Listen, I'm ambitious. I've got a heart of gold. With that being said,
see how that has anything to do with this.
Listen, I am an uncut gem. I am the chosen one, my friend, and I know all about One Night in China. All right, so since you're skating by, you don't have to hear my seething theme song. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of it, shall we? Because
there were WWE just had a pay-per-view. We're recording on Monday, so yesterday, Sunday, it was Extreme Rules.
Brand new,
but it was like, what was it titled? The
horror show.
The horror show Extreme Rules.
It was called. Oh God, and I'll get into this when you're done saying your piece right now. But it's WWE and their fucking marketing is so dumb sometimes. But the show is called The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. That's the full title. Oh God, Vince McMahon, you need to stop.
So we had Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins in an eye versus eye match, in which Rey Mysterio lost his eye.
Yes, they went there.
They had a controversial finish to the women's title match. They had Dolph Ziggler kind of look bad in terms of like he got to choose stipulations and it worked all in his favor and he still lost clean. They had
still had the job. Damn.
So yeah, let's get into it. Starting with Rey and Seth Rollins and the eye thing, and I and then as you say that, keep talking. I got to take care of something to the side. So when you see me duck out, don't worry, but just explain for a second your thoughts on the Rey and Seth Rollins eye for an eye match.
Well, here's the thing. I'll start off by saying of course the marketing that WWE does sometimes is just so foolish. They'll just think of these stupid monikers just to get people to buy the pay-per-view, and you could tell they're the brainchilds of one Vincent Kennedy McMahon. So they had to title this thing The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. And when they brand and market something, they really brand and market it. So leading up to this pay-per-view, it was just week after week, SmackDown and Raw. It was just week after week after week of, when you say the paper, they had the announcers, you good? Everything okay? Bathroom break? I had to take a little, pee, pee, pee.
No,
I'm going to pee on you.
I was trying to do it nonchalantly.
You failed miserably. But anyway.
Well, that's because you called attention to it.
I mean, when they look at this episode, they're going to be like, well, where did Vince go? So,
no, because I'm not talking, so it's all going to be on you.
Oh, true. That's very true. Well, now you know he wasn't there. But he's back. He's returned like Xander. So my point is this. Leading up to this pay-per-view, they were just on and on and on and on about, because they're all about their marketing. You have to, they kept saying the entire title every time. Nobody could just say Extreme Rules. And I guarantee for any person, because this is just how that company is, they're like Nazis sometimes. As far as like just how, I don't want to compare them to actual Nazis. I don't want to say that. You can get in trouble for saying stuff like that these days, but they're just so tyrannical about how they do things sometimes that they just bored into your head, and they bored into your head. And I guarantee anybody that did not say The Horror Show at Extreme Rules was probably reprimanded or buried at some point backstage, or was told, well, you didn't say this, so we're taking you off a pay-per-view, or we're taking you off these group of house shows. They punish people just for things that are just silly and petty. So we had this match. They've been building it up for weeks. It's been like a triangle thing between Rey Mysterio. This is what I've been seeing online. I don't watch Raw and SmackDown avidly like I used to. It's been years. I catch clips. I catch YouTube clips. I listen to podcasters that fill me in about stuff, and I'll just catch certain things. But I know enough to know. So leading up to the pay-per-view, they had an angle between Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah, because that's his new gimmick. He's the heel that's basically saying, look, I'm a heel, but the reason I'm a heel is for the greater of good. Because they'll have heels like that sometimes. They'll have the heels that are just like, I'm a piece of shit, and I hate you people. And then they have the heels, kind of like Bayley. Her heel turn was this. It's, yes, I'm a bad person, but I'm doing it for a good reason, and I'm doing it for your own good. So that's his category of heel. He's the heel that I'm bad because you people don't know what's good for you. So I have to be this cult leader, basically, and show you the light. So that's his gimmick. He's the Monday Night Messiah. And then, it was him involved Rey Mysterio and Rey Mysterio's son, whose name I can't remember right now.
Dominic.
Dominic Mysterio. I don't think that's Rey Mysterio's real full name, is it? I think Ray is in there somewhere. I don't think Mysterio is Rey Mysterio's real name, but I'll have to look it up.
I want to say it's Gutierrez.
It's something like that. I think it's Ray. I think Ray is the real one. So his son Dominic, that's not his kayfabe name. That's his real name, I believe, as well. They've had this little triangle thing, and so at one point, I'm trying to think of the order, but at one point, Seth Rollins and during this whole program they've been having, Seth Rollins, Rey Mysterio got into something on Raw, and he literally jabbed Rey Mysterio's eye into the edge of the steps, and really messed his eye up. So Rey Mysterio's eye was like fucked for like weeks. And then at one point he tried to do it to his son, and then Rey just snapped like, "Oh, you tried to do to my son what you did to me? We need to have a match." And then of course, in true WWE manner, the match became it became a stipulation, because that's what they do. The angle and the program wasn't enough. They had to actually make the match about that.
And it's pretty gory for it's something I would expect maybe from the Attitude Era. Like the fact that they kind of
it would have been stupid then.
Surprising.
Yeah, and it would have been stupid back then too. But you're right. That is more of an Attitude Era, at least a ruthless aggression type, thing.
Yeah.
You think about the time Shane had what was it? Was it electrodes or what?
He got his nuts.
To his nuts.
Fried.
To his nuts.
Yeah. So like a car
like Kane.
Yeah.
Like Kane. He put jumper cables to Shane's nuts.
Yeah.
So that's what that reminds me of. Is stuff when the WWE does stuff like that. dumb stipulation. I didn't see the match, but like you said, it concluded with, again, Seth Rollins jamming Rey Mysterio's eye into the edge of the steps to the point where apparently his eye came out. And from memes I've been seeing and pictures, there's like shots they took of it, and you could see like either Rey Mysterio holding his eye or his eye like in the mask. And I'm just like, oh, that is so goddamn cheesy. Like, oh man, what? And again, it's just it's the WWE just incredibly bored. It's Vince McMahon not caring anymore. I haven't watched the overall pay-per-view, so I don't know what ratings it got. I have to listen to my podcaster and hear his review on it, or read it online. But they had the Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt swamp match, which apparently was very interesting, which hinted at. I've been seeing memes, I've been seeing posts, I've been reading articles. I guess it hinted at Alexa Bliss possibly having some ties in with being Sister Abigail or something like that.
So my theory on this,
they show images of her as like a Sister Abigail-esque thing. So what's your theory on that?
I think on that is Alexa Bliss is not Sister Abigail, but I think that Bray Wyatt is using mind games, like playing with his head and using Braun's sort of infatuation with Alexa Bliss, which has been hinted at before with the mixed tag, and there's flirtatious device. They brought that back.
Weren't they called like little big or something, big little or something? They were called
so
little.
So I think that Sister Abigail, because Bray Wyatt's pretty, I guess he's supernatural at this. I mean, he's always been kind of this weird kind of like superpowers, like pops up from here and there, becomes the Fiend. He's a different type of wrestler.
They're not. It's not like they're bringing back the old Bray Wyatt gimmick. They're just using this for the program him and Braun are having right now.
So I think
he's the Fiend.
that within his crazy world in which they're operating, Sister Abigail took on the form of Alexa Bliss to lure Braun Strowman into, I guess, his trap or his world or whatever. So I mean, but you never know. WWE could pull the trigger on that and make Alexa Bliss Sister Abigail. I hope they don't. I hope they keep her as her own separate person.
It makes no sense at this point. That's whole Sister Abigail thing, I think, is a ship that has sailed. Because in order for them to even really go back to doing that, they would have to extend more of this old school Bray gimmick, as opposed to not. They wouldn't be able to focus on his new gimmick, which is the Fiend. They would have to kind of still harp on the cult leader, the swamp cult leader, Bray Wyatt, and I don't think that's necessary, nor do I think it's necessary to make a Sister Abigail angle per se.
Yeah, it's cool if they keep her just ambiguous, like maybe not even like an actual person, just sort of like just an idea of something, and never quite because I can't think of a way in which they would actually make her a real person and it work really well. I mean, they could. Yeah, but
I mean, they could try, but that again, that ship has sailed. They should have done that like 5 years ago when he was really going hard on every Raw and every SmackDown about Sister Abigail, man. Come, Sister Abigail. Oh, I used to love that Bray Wyatt, and I used to get so mad when they really wouldn't put him over like they should have. And then when they finally did, it was just so short-lived. They put the title on him. And then he had to drop it to Randy Orton in that awful WrestleMania match. It wasn't even a good WrestleMania match. I think it was WrestleMania 33, where like they were during the match they would have this projection of maggots and spiders and all the shit in the ring, and Randy would freak out because it was like trash. Yeah. So they never listen. This is the best run Bray Wyatt has ever had, and this is even falling flat. That horrific loss, the fact that he had the job to Goldberg, still to this day pisses me off. I cannot believe they did that. WWE is so ridiculous for doing that, for booking that. That was dumb. They somewhat buried him, not completely, because what's going to end up happening is probably at SummerSlam they're going to put the Universal title back on him. They're going to have the Fiend go over Braun Strowman and try to make him strong again. But it's like the damage is done. Like Justin Timberlake and Timbaland said in Cry Me a River, the damage is done, so I guess I'll be leaving. The damage is done. You know, he should have had the job to anybody, period, until whatever they were going to do at WrestleMania. And obviously the pandemic hit, so it ruined plans, period. But horrific. They've tried so much for Bray Wyatt, and they do good by him sometimes, and then they just shit all over him. And I can only assume it's Vince McMahon just not being entirely confident in pushing him. I think they want to. You know, they came up with the Fiend gimmick. It did really well in the beginning, and then it fell flat right around that whole Goldberg incident. And it just seems like they don't know what to do with Bray. I don't know. I don't know where that man's future is, but he needs to talk to his dad. And I don't know if you know this. His father is Ern R. Shyster, the tax man.
Of course I know that.
Mike Rotunda is their dad. And his brother is what's his name? That used to have the Bo Dallas. Remember Bo Dallas?
Mm-hmm.
That's Bray Wyatt's brother in real life, and a person they've done absolutely nothing with. But I don't know. I love Bray. I hope they just put the title back on him and just make him undefeated and just ride this pandemic out and try to start over. Again, I said the damage is done, but you never know. Real quick, let's talk about Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre from Scotland. Apparently he kicked the shit out of Dolph Ziggler, who chose the stipulation.
Claymore.
Yeah. Oh, did I say bro kick? Excuse me. That's Sheamus. He Claymore kicked. My bad. Sorry, Sheamus. And Sheamus is Irish, so he probably is like double offended. Like,
oh yeah,
compare me to an Irish. You compare me to a Scotsman. Excuse me. He Claymore kicked Dolph Ziggler's head off and went over in that match. And like you pointed out, Dolph Ziggler is another one. So Dolph Ziggler chose the stipulation and ended up succumbing to his own creation. He's another one. I don't want to get into a long thing about Dolph Ziggler, but he's another one that they have tried, and he has failed, and then they pick him back up, and then he has failed, and then they pick him back up, and then he fails again or falls flat. And it seems like ever since the last time he fell flat, they have just left him buried. They have just done nothing to do anything to really boost this man's career or push him. And he's a former heavyweight champion. You know, listen, Dolph had one of the biggest pops in WWE history, not just the modern era. He had one of the biggest pops in WWE, WWF history when he cashed in his Money in the Bank on Alberto Del Rio. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And that crowd lost their mind, dude. He was so over back then. He was a heel. And it's because back then they really wanted to see Dolph do it. And they were pitching him and they were building him up as the next Shawn Michaels. And then they just didn't know what to do with him. It just fell flat. He won the heavyweight title. They kept him strong, and then that was it. You know, they gave him the Intercontinental title. He's had the Intercontinental strap a few times, but they just could not keep Dolph Ziggler strong. And this is another fine example of a Dolph Ziggler burial, in my opinion. What's your opinion on the Dolph Meister?
Yeah, I think they could have done it a different way where they didn't have to stack. Like if it was bad booking. It didn't make him look good. Now I've heard like on the New Day podcast that a lot of times like us as the fans will watch, be like, oh my God, you're burying this guy, when all they care about is getting on TV. They're like, all right. I mean, obviously they
settle. A lot of them settle. Yeah.
I mean, they obviously want to get like championships and stuff, and they want to be the top guy. But a lot of times they're like, no, this is a business, and as long as we're on TV entertaining in the main event
and like, getting paid,
that's a good thing. So I'm sure Dolph is. I wouldn't be surprised if he was not happy with how this is going. But also as he's getting older, like a lot of times guys that we think are getting buried, they're getting older, and they're like, I want to now. Yeah. I want to help out the younger people. I want to. Like for all we know, like he wants to put over Drew McIntyre. Like they might be friends. He might be like, dude, like here's a great way for you to look like a monster and look great, and I'll sell the hell out of it for you, and it'll show like because we don't know what SummerSlam is. Maybe he's going against Lashley, but like there might be making McIntyre look bigger and badder for a bigger thing along the line, and Dolph might be like, cool, any way I can do to help that, I'll do it. But from a fan standpoint, it is kind of frustrating to see someone who works so hard and is so talented in the ring and be like, we just kind of want the same thing that we wanted for Drew McIntyre when he won. It's like, not that we wanted Dolph to win this match, we just wanted him to look maybe a little better, that he didn't succumb to his own like stipulation and be like, all right, well, I get to fight in a regular match. I get to fight no DQ. You fight regular, so I don't have to be disqualified. I won't just get disqualified, but you can be.
Yeah, and there was even a rumor that the stipulation was going to be that, much like the angle with, I think it was him and Edge, where Vicky Guerrero put a stipulation on the match that Edge couldn't use his spear. Some were saying that it was going to be a thing where Dolph Ziggler makes the stipulation to where Drew McIntyre can't use the Claymore kick. And
that's
that
also
might have worked.
Like, that's such a. I mean, it would have worked, but at the same time, like, that Claymore is just so badass. It's like,
that shit is
you want to see that.
The Claymore reminds me of, like, I'm trying to think of the Claymore at this point, and then I know a lot of people were like, well, it's just a simple kick. And it is. The way he sells it and the way he delivers it is what makes it unique. He falls on his back. He's tall as hell. He's like 6'5", 6'6". So when he kicks you with that, you just see the impact because of how big and tall Drew McIntyre is. Yeah. But they're protecting the hell out of that move, and they're making the Claymore kick basically the new F5, to where you get hit with that, that's it. There's no coming back.
I think we need more of those.
I agree, because you see some of these finishers, and I love false finishes. I love when wrestlers kick out of finish maneuvers if it's a climactic match or a very theatrical match. But they have a tendency to where wrestlers do their finish. They'll do their finish, and motherfuckers are just kicking out of it like they did a simple suplex, and it's like, they're really not putting over finishers like they used to. But the Claymore is one they do. And they do with the F5, and it seems like speaking of him, it seems like they're doing it a lot with Bobby Lashley. Once Bobby Lashley hits that spear, that's it, dude. And I think he's not the greatest wrestler, but he's got a great look. He's physically imposing. He's very athletic. I think Bobby Lashley should be the next big thing after Drew McIntyre. They need to, and I know Bobby Lashley is not new to the game. By no means, and he's not that young. He's about 40. Which is young, but I'm just saying in wrestling, that's like, you're up there. Look at DDP. He didn't start till he was like 35. We talked about him one of the earlier episodes. But Bobby Lashley has been around, but it's kind of like, especially with MVP, who I guess is the new self-proclaimed United States champion. he put the title on himself. I guess Apollo Crews is still the champ, but MVP is basically saying, no, I've got the title. And he's actually a former United States champ. I don't know if you remember that, MVP. Mm-hmm. He's a former champ. But I love what's happening between MVP and Bobby Lashley. I think Bobby Lashley should continue being. They need to make Bobby Lashley literally the black Brock Lesnar. They need to put the title on him and have him destroy everybody, and then finally find that one person. And it could be Drew McIntyre again. Who knows? They might make a new star. Roman might come back. We never know. But they need to put him over.
Roman's
strong
looking
as a heel.
big. Have you seen him?
Yeah,
like
he's jacked.
On Instagram, he's looking jacked. He might
He's like,
not even be wearing like that chest protector anymore. He might just come back like shirtless.
The Samoan bulldozer, like they used to call Umaga. Remember that they used to call Umaga that. He might come back and just be ripped. Yeah, he looks great. The Rock complimented him on social media. So shout out to Roman Reigns, man. He's playing it smart. COVID is running rampant, and he's like, look, I have a family, I have kids. I'm not wrestling. I'm not being around a bunch of wrestlers. And apparently he's got a lot of heat for that, but I don't blame him. The man has a family. So hopefully he comes back soon. Hopefully this dies down enough to where he comes back in New Jack form and all. But maybe he could come back and be the one to dethrone Bobby Lashley. I don't know. But they need to put Bobby Lashley over as a monster heel and have MVP be his Paul Heyman. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think that
as far as Lashley.
I think that's the perfect way to book him, because he works better as like a monster heel, and I think having MVP as his mouthpiece takes a little bit of the pressure off him to like maybe cut these fantastic promos that I'm not sure he's capable of doing. He can't like
He's
cut
not.
like
He's not.
he
He's
can't
not.
cut like
Bobby.
10-minute like masterpieces.
No.
But if he like
No.
he's a good enough speaker that if he just
Bobby's
like
not a talker. He's not a talker.
is
but,
like short, sweet to the point, like he
Yeah.
can, that adds to the sort of allure of him being like a monster.
Yeah, have him be short and sweet, or let MVP cut the promos for him. But definitely, hey, shout out to Bobby Lashley. I hope they give you that big run. That's our very short, simple. I didn't get a chance to watch the entire pay-per-view, and I know you really haven't either. But we've read the results, we've seen stuff online, and that was basically me and Vince's review of Extreme Rules 2020.
Yes.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I don't want the WWE and Vince coming after me. So let me say this right. WWE's The Horror Show at Extreme Rules 2020. There you go.
Oh, I can't say anything to you.
Listen.
I'll say something
know.
though. You get it right on behalf of WWE.
I'm telling you. And your name is Vince.
One Vince will get at you.
Yeah, I'm getting it from at least one Vince. So
yes,
that was our review of
so that was not exactly our short review. It actually went kind of long. So did you still want to talk about the other thing, or save that for another show?
Why don't we save that for another show?
Okay.
We spent enough time on the Extreme Rules thing. We did have some more wrestling stuff for you, but we're trying to condense these episodes so we can get these technical aspects fixed. So we will save that for another show, my good friend.
Yes.
I've got some horrible news, by the way, Vince. You're not gonna like this. It's terrible. And to our viewers, terrible news. Apparently, Whoopi's not going to be joining us today.
Oh no.
Yeah, and the reason is because she really can't get these infidelities, this infidelity situation together with Ted Danson. They're in Barbados right now, Vince. I'm gonna just say she told me not to tell you. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Whoopi and Ted Danson are basking in their infidelities in Barbados, Vince.
You need to get it together.
So sadly, no review from Whoopi, but she will be making her return once she gets back from her infidelities.
All right. Well,
sorry,
I
Vince.
guess
you don't get to get called handsome 100 times today. Sorry.
It's fine.
Your wife,
okay.
Your wife can do it. Just tell her to. Yeah, that's more important.
Yes.
Whoopi's amazing. We love Whoopi, but
yeah,
your wife's opinion is more important.
We love having her on the show, but she deserves her vacation time. Could do it without a married man, but that's neither here nor there.
Listen, if that's what she wants to do, if she wants to ride that Ted Danson train, literally, that's her business. Hey, as long as they're safe, as long as they're using condoms, right? That's what I say. As long as you using nothing. Period. Huh?
I can't encourage any of this.
Oh well. Hey, listen. It is what it is. Whoopi will be back soon. We love her. Enjoy it, and please use protection. All right. Well, with that being said, you guys, that was episode 5. Yay! Let's give it up.
Yeah.
We will be coming back, obviously, with more episodes, and unfortunately, you guys are gonna have to kind of get used to this format for a few episodes till we figure this shit out, and we will.
We're gonna keep trying to make sure we get it back to how it was, but in the meantime, if we can't do it, if we can't export it with everything, then it'll just be the raw footage.
Or hopefully we can get to the point where we could at least have some editing, but even that's becoming a struggle. But the point is we're getting content to you guys and bringing you as an entertaining as a show as we can. So with that being said, folks, I am your hip-hopping, tip-topping, rip-rapping, jet plane flying, limousine riding, son of a gun, LAREN Max Haynes.
And I am Google mapping the nearest possible subway, Vince Eustace.
$5 foot long. Na, 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 na. Yes, folks. You have made it to episode 5 of Popcorn
and Booze.
Well, thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. LAREN Moore signing out. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.